492 Tamil refugees arrived by boat to Canada on August 12, 2010. They demanded immediate asylum in Canada. The Tamil refugees made the 13,241-kilometer trip aboard the MV Sunsea with 494 passengers aboard. They were immediately detained by Canadian Customs. Protesters immediately took to the streets of many cities across Canada in support of the Tamil refugees and their plight to obtain Canadian citizenship. Sarawan Vaktiriham of the transnational government of Tamil Eelam is demanding the immediate release of the Tamil refugees from detention and to make them unconditional Canadian citizens. This man claims that China funded the civil war in Sri Lanka.
First thing I want to know is just to make sure that you realize that you're being recorded.
Yeah.
It's cassette. That's all I've got is the
no
video
problem.
cassette.
You know what? I'm not afraid to tell the truth.
Okay. And your name, I'm allowed to use?
Oh, absolutely.
Your name? Okay, great. So I don't have to black out your face now.
Yeah.
So what is your name?
Warren, W-A-R-A-N.
Yeah. Warren?
Yeah.
And do you have a last name or?
Yeah, Vaithilingam. B-A-I.
V-A-I.
T-H-I.
Yeah.
L-I-N-G-A-M. The way you pronounce it is you break it half. Vaithi. B-A-I-T-H-I.
Vaithilingam.
You got that right.
Lingam.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a very difficult
No,
name.
that's fine. You're doing well. At least you're trying hard. That's all we need. All right?
I'm sick of reading these articles.
Yeah.
You know, and have you read some of the articles that are coming out?
Oh, it's pathetic.
You know, I'll bring something to your attention, something I read earlier, is the Ottawa Sun has come out and said a secret government report outlines just how seriously we've been duped by the Tamils.
Yeah. I have a valid answer for that.
Okay, but they're talking about the Tamils that have already gained refugee status in Canada. Now, these, with a sample survey conducted by immigration bureaucrats, showing some 71% of these claimants have already returned to Sri Lanka.
Okay, out of 50 family.
I'm sure there's good reason, but just let me finish real quick. Despite their song and dance that they would be murdered or tortured the moment they return to their homeland. How do you respond?
First of all, that study, I don't know how they did it, who did it. It's called secret study. Okay. We Tamils, since May 2009, when there was a genocide, there was a war crime by terrorist Sri Lankan government, asked the UN to be there, and the INGOs, which is international non-governmental organization, such as Red Cross, Amnesty International, to be there, and also let the NGO, non-governmental local organization, to be there, and the independent media to be there, to let the world what's going on. Now, if Ottawa believes that we are duping the government, why can't Ottawa send National Post, Globe and Mail, Toronto Star,
Ottawa Sun,
correspondents to Sri Lanka to know the truth to the Canadians?
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Okay.
I mean, if they want to tell the truth, don't just write it. Show us some video.
Exactly. Even let's say that I don't believe in that story. That's out of 50, 35 families went. What they are claiming.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the issue. You can go for a vacation in Mexico.
Sure.
Right? And not feel not know about the political situation there.
Sure. Okay.
You're on vacation mode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Even I'm a Canadian citizen.
Yeah.
If I go there and I'm only allowed in certain areas where the government showpiece
allows you,
right?
Yeah.
What will they allow me inside the barbed wire camps.
No, I
You
assume
see?
not.
You see?
Yeah.
Okay. If I carry a Canadian passport, what
Yeah.
the Sri Lankan government is going to do? Of course, they are going to treat me well because I'm a Canadian. So those 50 people that they are referring,
Right.
amongst the 50, the 35 went.
56 or something, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Could be a Canadian Tamils with a Canadian citizenship. Of course, they are going to have a good time at the hotels there.
Yeah.
The government, what we are talking about is people who lives there.
So they're concealing the truth.
That's right. Bob Ray, from Liberal Party,
Yeah.
just
I know.
after May in 2009, visited. Guess what happened?
No, I don't
He was
know.
deported back by the Sri Lankan government.
Okay.
Did Stephen Harper open his mouth? No, not a
that.
word.
Never know.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what he was told?
No.
He has terrorist connections. Bob Ray,
Bob Ray has
Bob
terrorist
Ray,
connections.
a former premier of Ontario,
Do you know who made that accusation?
Sri Lankan government. They turned Bob Ray back in the next plane.
Because, wow. I can see
This
why.
is this
because
is a
these people-
parliamentary. Yes, right. Because he represents his electorates. There's considerable number of Tamils in his electorates.
Okay.
You know.
So, I mean, pretty much you've been able to say that whatever the Ottawa Sun has said is not true. It's misinformed.
Is misinformed, big time. But let the Ottawa Sun reporter
Yeah.
or National Post. This is a new news release from Ottawa,
It is, yeah.
and literally all the papers carried it. What
Okay.
Stephen Harper feeling is now there's a backlash. The Canadians are coming to know the real truth, so he had to come up with a study like that.
Okay. Why are MayoVancouver.org getting involved in this?
Well, definitely as mobilization against war and occupation, we are an organization that demands as the basis of unity self-determination for all oppressed nations. Now, the Tamil people, as was explained, have been fighting for that right. And we support that demand of self-determination for the Tamils. So these refugees coming here, they're not just refugees arriving in Canada, but coming from a war zone, which we recognize that. And also in mobilization against war and occupation, we fight against both wars abroad, but also the war at home. So what the government of Canada is doing against refugees that are coming here.
Yeah.
Refugees that are coming here from a country where Canada has supported the Sri Lankan government.
Yeah. That's well
And
documented.
has is a factor in the fact that these Tamil people don't have their self-determination.
Okay.
And also other issues what Canada is doing here against, for example, Indigenous people in Canada, immigrants and
right.
refugees, all sorts of issues.
Okay.
So that is why we're involved.
That's why you're involved. But what do you hope to achieve as far as, let's just stick with the 49, is it? Or that are currently seeking the refugee status in Canada?
492, I believe.
492, yeah, that's right.
Well, our demands are to stop jailing and deporting refugees, to let the Tamil refugees stay, to grant the Tamil refugees asylum immediately and unconditionally, and to end the racist immigration and refugee policy. Those are our concrete demands and what we'd like to see coming out of this.
They're pretty cut and dry demands, right? And do you think it's realistic for a government to actually implement them quickly and decisively without having any logistical problems with bringing so many people over and then suddenly allowing so many refugees? Because what they're saying, and even the UN is saying it, is that there's other boats waiting. And all they're waiting is to see how this one turns out before they send the next 2 or 3 or 4 boats over. And what do you think about that?
I think, for one thing, what we've heard a lot is, oh, there's a backlog, we're over overblown with the number that are here. There are refugees coming all the time by land, by air, but it doesn't have quite the same impact as 490 coming in a boat. So they're able to use this excuse, oh, we're backlogged. Well, you know, if you're backlogged, there's a lot of unemployment in this country. I don't see why there should be a backlog in any of the refugee and immigration issues.
Okay.
And I think saying, oh, you know, there's other boats waiting on the horizon to come. If we let this one in, they'll all come and we'll just be overblown with refugees. Everyone in Canada, except Indigenous people, have at one point been immigrants and refugees.
Sure.
What's wrong with more people coming here? We have a lot of space.
Yeah.
Canada, the government of Canada, for one thing, is part of the problem. People don't want to leave their homes and become refugees. People are refugees because they have to leave their homes.
Yeah.
And Canada has a role in that situation in countries around the world.
Responsibility too.
Yeah, such as Afghanistan, such as also with the Tamils.
Okay.
So I think this is part of a sort of fear campaign to implement harsher immigration and refugee policies.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are actually seeing that on the other side. What are they going through, though? I mean, the Tamil refugees, the ones that have come over here, the 497, what did they go through to get here?
3 months voyage.
Right.
It's not a luxury cruise ship.
No.
And they had it cramped, and it was. I mean, you know, who would risk their life?
So you're saying there could have been deaths on board?
There was one person.
Oh, there was?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
see, I'm not aware of that.
Yes. And total fear-mongering by the Stephen Harper government.
Yeah, I've got
you know,
pages and
and
pages.
hey, you know what? We are not even blaming. Here is an example. Brian Mulroney brought the South African issue forefront.
Okay, yes.
It was a progressive conservative party at the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, and Canada have signed many international agreements. In fact, Canada is the forefathers of UN setup.
That's true.
Okay, there are many treaties that we have signed with UN, and we have R2P, responsibility to protect.
Right.
Okay, so we Tamils, 150,000 Tamils, according to Toronto Star, he hugged Toronto, May 2009, and told the rest of the world, 50,000 people. At that time, we clearly anticipated there's going to be people die. Guess what? Canada did not open their mouth at the time.
They did nothing.
They did nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is every action have a reaction. Okay, and the very important part is, since so-called independence of Sri Lanka from 1945, 48, there are embassies set up by the world governments, mainly the Western world.
Yes.
Tamils being butchered, killed. The ambassadors, Canadian ambassadors, never brought this issue to UN. They are the part of the problem here. This problem could have been, Tamils are not going through this last couple of years. The world come to know about May 2009 genocide, war crimes.
That's when it began.
In 2009. Yeah. That's the end of it. But we've been going through it from 1948. 1956, first so-called riots, but it was ethnic cleansing for the convenience of the Western world. Sri Lankan government named it as riots. Riots means two
uncontrolled citizens.
Two different groups fighting on the street. It's called riots. It's not riots. It's genocide. Tamils have gone through many so-called riots from 1956 to 1977, 1978, I believe, and 1983. What was the world doing at the time? Tamils were butchered by government-sponsored terrorist Sri Lankan government-sponsored program. You know, the Sri Lankan government have not prosecuted a single person, a single individual.
Does that surprise
what does
you?
it tells you? Okay?
Yeah, I understand that, but the Tamils are human beings,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And they're choosing to put themselves through a potentially life-threatening journey here to Canada, and without even knowing if they're going to get in the country.
That's right.
Why are they doing that?
Because they can't live there. If these 492 people lives there in Sri Lanka, they would not be alive 6, maybe even a week from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. They had enough. So this is the last resort to save their lives.
It's funny how the Canadian government is choosing now to put a foot down and use this as an example to maybe thwart other attempts to come into the country. I mean, they're definitely using this as an example. To create new laws and but it's so overwhelming, the news documents, even out of the UN. I've got reports from the UN saying that Sri Lanka is now a safe place to live.
No, it's not. UN is conducting or in the process of setting up a committee to investigate the war crimes. Okay. UN is being influenced or vetoed by China, which have a big geopolitical interest. Okay. China is aiming itself to become a superpower of the world.
Yes,
One thing that we all have to understand: Sri Lanka is a strategic location for China to control Indonesia.
Okay, because of its location mainly, or
because of its strategic location. Indonesia and India.
Wow.
Okay. So this is a check post for China. So it's a China-led war, which everybody jumped on the wagon because nobody wants to talk against the sleeping dragon, which is China.
And the Sinhalese are basically now in control of the country.
They have,
and they're selling out to the Chinese, is what you're...
Exactly. That's the bigger picture. Okay. However, let the people come to the show and listen to them. You know, there's 492 stories out there. And ask them what happened. And then you decide if they happen to be terrorists.
And why do you believe they're not? Why do you believe that they're not? Because it is a word that's being bantered around everywhere now. Terrorist is the new word for anyone they don't like. But what would this... I mean, the fact that the boat was full of mainly males is a problem. Is it not?
No, there are elderly.
There are some elderly, there are some kids.
There are ladies. The mainly men, because naturally, men tend to mobilize more than...
Get on a long journey and risk their lives.
That's right, and risk their lives. That's the history, right? Now, here's the point. One man's terrorist, someone's terrorist is somebody's freedom fighter.